So this mod is the mod. This is the current version that I'm working on.
Report back to the police station.
I'll show you
I'll be there
guys
soon.
Help
what
yourself.
have I made. What have I changed?
Survey the area for technology.
Hey.
Point the way.
Hey, Piper.
Talk to me. Blue.
Fuck. Okay.
Report back
Hey.
to the police station.
What can I do?
I'll be there soon.
Help yourself.
Just need to survey the area for technology.
Hey.
Shoot. Cap for your thoughts?
It's time we part ways.
Sure thing.
So this is the current mod that I'm working on. The current versions that I'm working on. So as you guys can see, I've increased the headshot damage, I think till 8, just because I actually changed the damage resistant formula itself, and it's a little bit buggy right now, but as you guys can see, like 2 shots with the 10mm pistol with the armor that she has on does roughly half damage, which is kind of weird, just
Heading my
because her armor isn't that, I guess, good. I'll show you
Let's
guys.
trade.
This is what I've got.
So she has the other chest piece which has 3 damage resistance. That's 4. That's 6. 8. And let's see. I'm like here with that. And so, and then the road leathers is another 2, so that's 10. So all in all, she has 10 damage resistance. And it's kind of weird because I guess it's a little bit buggy right now, just because I think it calculates the whole damage resistance for the whole body instead of being per part. So whenever you shoot, but the thing is though, it affects headshot as well. But the thing is though, due to the fact that I increase the damage to headshots, it's not as evident up until you get to higher health enemies or people with like way more damage resistance. And so, I mean, this 10mm pistol this close will definitely kill her, but later on you guys will see that it kind of scales with distance as well, so it's a little bit more realistic. But one thing I also did was, screw it, let's put God mode on, was increase the staggering chance. So let's see if she staggers. Oh, okay, whoops, I killed her, but 4 shots killed her. And again, like it's just too, oh crap. Oh, there's Paladin Dance. And I also kind of, the good thing about the damage resistance formula at least is that at least power armor is more protective. I'll show you guys. So I'm gonna reset his health. So like, as you guys can see, I'm barely doing any damage to him. Like, I'm doing almost no damage. I mean, I am doing some damage, but it's very little. And again, this would take forever to actually kill him. And even with the minigun, which I have a perk so it does 87 damage, and let's see, so the maximum capacity hardened submachine gun does 40 damage, and that one's doing 87. So even with 87 damage, as you guys can see, power armor is still pretty good. I mean, it would take me probably like the whole magazine or maybe even more to just kill him. And I'll show you guys why I did that. Let's see. And I also scaled up the damage. I also modified the damage resistance formula for energy weapons, but I did not change the damage resistance for energy weapons. The only thing I changed was the formula to allow more damage to be absorbed. So as you guys can see, power armor's pretty good, but I'll show you guys why. I mean, and it's not too overpowered. I also have the perk for the explosives, so this should do, I think, 550 damage. And so with one missile shot, it almost killed this Brotherhood of Steel Paladin dance. So
Suppressing fire.
so 2 shots. To kill someone with power armor,
Brother.
and hundreds of shots to kill someone with a minigun. I kind of did that to be not a little bit more realistic, in the sense that, I mean, in real life, yeah, you could potentially get through a big chunk of metal by either shooting it with a big, powerful gun, or by shooting it with hundreds of thousands of rounds, like with sustained fire at the same place for a prolonged period of time, and you're probably gonna penetrate that piece of metal or whatever you're trying to, destroy. So I made it like that just to kind of compensate for the fact that in real life it is a little bit like that, but also because I wanted to give explosives a little bit more damage. And as you guys can see, it's like doing very little damage. The only bug is, oh, it's not really a bug, it's just that it's a Bethesda thing, but basically people in power armor are considered a different creature. I mean, a different actor. So as you guys can see, I'm headshotting Paladin Dance with a pretty powerful gun. Hunting rifle, 123 damage. And it's not doing anything, basically. As you guys can see, it's doing nothing. Even though his head is clearly exposed. And the reason is because, like I said, on the way Bethesda made power armor is that it's actually you're like a different creature once you're inside the power armor. So the damage modifier is totally different. So let's say that. So even if I set it to like 16 times the amount of damage, it's still gonna register it as I guess as a lower damage, just because of the damage formula. So it's really not gonna do much. So that's the only problem that I've encountered right now. But then again, most people that are in power armor actually have the helmet on anyways. So not too much, it's not too much of a huge difference. But again, people like Paladin Dance, or like people that have gotten their helmet destroyed by one way or another, are they're still gonna receive the same amount of damage as if they were in power armor. That's the only unfortunate thing that I couldn't really solve, to be honest with you, just because without the GEC I can't change people's, I guess I can't change you being in the power armor being the same as like a regular person. So you're still gonna take I can't really do anything about this unless I get the GEC. But that's the only drawback right now. And now that I destroyed all his power armor, he's still receiving some damage just because oh well. Just because the power armor frame itself, I added damage resistance to it. Just because from the looks of it, it looks like it's pretty powerful. It looks like it, it's gonna take some damage. It will withstand some damage, but at the same time, I'll try to see if I can lower it and see if by lowering it, I can make, I guess, people have well, people at least in power armor, when you shoot them in the face, at least it won't be that much of a once their armor is taking off anyways. I'll see if it'll make a huge difference, and if it does, I'll just lower the damage resistance for power armor by a lot, just so that way at least when you blow off their helmets, at least they'll be able to take on some more damage. Let's see.
Kill them all!
And I'll show you guys. I also found through the game, one of the other things that also edited was the fact that for some reason you only dealt, I think, half damage to everybody and anything, and I changed that to 1, just because I kind of thought that was kind of weird, like how you do half damage to everything basically. I mean, it makes things a bit easier, but then again, I basically I also slightly kept the damage that people did to you, just because it was 2 times, and the aim of this mod is not to make it hard per se, but a little bit more realistic, and I just didn't see why would you or the enemy do less or more damage just because, you know, you're the PC or you're an NPC. So that should make things that should make things a bit more balanced, and I'll show you guys how it works. I'll take God mode off.
Aim for their weak spot!
Okay. Okay. Okay, I guess I'll load the game beforehand. So the game crashed. So I'll show you guys now how it all works out once you're in actual combat.
You're gonna regret this, brother!
Sweet green! Blue.
Unless you guys can see, damage is a lot more unforgiving, especially if you get shot in the head. Let's see, I'll show you guys. So I have 64 just because of this plus a hard hat, that's like 64. So as you guys can see, it evens out everything, 12, 12, 12. And so, oh wait, let's see how much energy resistance I have. Whoops. Let's see. Oh, see, okay. So, as you guys can see, I have very little damage resistance, and I also made explosives do more damage. I'll show you guys. So yeah. Good thing there was a barrel over there, but as you guys can see, explosives deal a lot more damage now. I also, for the new version, I actually,
Report
I'll
back
show
to
you
police.
guys.
Shoot.
I'll be there soon.
Over here.
Just need to
I
search
actually
the area.
increased the
Can do.
blast radius,
Uh-huh.
like the damage radius,
Yep.
not the visual
That's the
radius,
plan.
because there's 2 types of radius
That's the
in
plan.
the GEC. Well, and I mean that you could edit the IS radius and the radius. I forgot which one's which, but anyway, one of them modifies like the area of effect that you see visually, and the other one affects like the damage and the area that it affects with physics, like havoc.
Blue.
Like as you guys can see, she wasn't that close, but like in real life, you don't have to be, you know, super close to an explosion for it to actually damage you, just because of the shockwave that travels and hits you. So you know, you may not be close to an explosion, but it still might damage you or kill you, just because I try to simulate the blast wave by actually expanding the damage radius to be the same as the visual radius. So although I don't know if if it still works like how it is in New Vegas or in Fallout 3, just because in Fallout 3 I believe the actual damage radius was a lot bigger than, even if it was smaller, it was a lot bigger than what you would normally see. So I don't know if that's the case in this, but from what it looked like, it might be the case here as well. But I still haven't checked it out just because all the explosive stuff that I have deals too much damage. So whenever I test something out, it either kills me automatically. But as you guys can see, that I was pretty close to the explosion and it really didn't damage me. And I just inched a little bit more and it actually damaged me. So as you guys can see, it's a lot more damage. The blast radius is a lot more bigger. So it's a lot more unforgiving being around an explosion. And in the future, I might actually make what's it called? Energy weapons, fire and frost damage weapons, like the cryo or like the flamer, do more damage not by modifying the weapons themselves, but I guess the damage multiplier that they have, and so that way it makes it more compatible with other mods. Because I didn't want to do that same thing with the actual physical weapons, just because I wanted to make at least with the physical weapons a little bit more realistic. And so like it really doesn't make sense for just because something is automatic, you know, to have less damage than the same weapon, same everything, but non-automatic version. So yeah. So I also increased the Fat Man damage by a lot. So it does a lot of damage now. I also increased the blast radius. I did wanted to increase the blast radius by a lot, but it's kind of breaks down. It doesn't break down, but it's, damn it, kind of makes the mechanics of the game a little bit unplayable. Just because, I mean, if you're like, for you it might seem that you're far away from the blast radius, but in reality it hits you and then you die. So I mean, I obviously want to make this mod a little bit more realistic, but at the same time I want to balance that out with gameplay wise, so that way at least it's playable. Let's see. So yeah, let's start use the jug yet. Let's put everything. I might also increase the damage for the junk jet in the future.
Remain vigilant. I know they're still here.
So yeah. Also, one big thing that I changed to was, I guess, some of the messages that you get. But I think I'll see if I'll test it out with someone else. I'll try to resurrect her. But staggering now occurs more often, as you guys can see. Okay, that's funny. But yeah, people should stagger more. Just to kind of I just wanted to, I guess, make things a little bit seem more like they actually had an impact. Whereas, so let's reset her health again. So now staggering should occur more often.